Living La Vida Low-Carb, I think it's also called, isn't it? And yeah,
Are you referring to Jimmy Moore?
well, I just love that phrase, living La Vida Low-Carb. It's superb, and you can embrace
Jimmy
it.
Moore all over. Okay, yeah. So Jimmy Moore, for those that don't know, is a low-carb advocate, and he has a website called Living La Vida Low-Carb, and
Get it?
he does, yeah, it's brilliant, and he's a very infectious personality, I think, and he does great work, and he's very, very passionate. And the other good thing about him is he invites people onto his podcast that you wouldn't necessarily think he would invite onto his podcast. So he invites people, for example, like me, who are singing more or less from the same hymn sheet. So that's fine, because you're not going to get too much contention there. But then he sort of targets people that he just views not as the Antichrist, but you know what I mean? But basically people that, preach from that very sort of low fat, carbs are king and the diet should be full of grain and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And he fundamentally disagrees with that, but he'll still invite these people onto the show. And it's not rude to them, but he has, a challenging discussion with individuals. And I'm very impressed by that, because there's a lot of individuals that wouldn't have the strength of character, if you like, to do that. So anyone who's sort of not aware of Jimmy Moore should probably be aware of him. He's also prolific. I have no idea. He seems to be working on some sort of, alternate reality where there's, 32 hours in the day rather than 24. Because the amount of stuff he churns out, I don't know how he does it, but he does it. So, he's very passionate, and he's got a very good heart. So
not eating too many potatoes might be the key. But so is that?
He's also, hang on, he got into it because he lost a lot of weight. I mean, he was really out of condition and very overweight, and he discovered low carb. I'm not sure how. I don't remember the story exactly. Okay, I don't know him that well. I've only spoken to him maybe 4 times, over the last few years. But basically, I do listen to his podcast sometimes because he has very interesting guests, whether they share the same views as me or not, they demand to be heard in my view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he gives a platform for that sort of discussion. And he's about one of the only people that does, because he does invite people onto his show, that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be there.
Excellent.
So that's good.
Yeah, and that's Moore with or without an E?
With an E.
Jimmy Moore with an E.
So M-O-O-R-E.
Fantastic.